The Alaska State Poetry Out Loud competition is made possible by Alaska State Council on the Arts, in partnership with the Juneau Arts and Humanities Council, the National Endowment for the Arts, the Poetry Foundation, 49 Writers, and Any Given Child.
Welcome to this year's 2019 Poetry Out Loud. My name is Nancy D. Cherney. I am the Executive Director of the Juneau Arts and Humanities Council. This is one of my favorite events of the entire year. Congratulations to all of you for your success in poetry recitation. It's my honor to welcome you to Juneau. We are honored to be on the land of the Aquan. And now I would like to introduce our Deputy Mayor, Maria Gladaszewski.
Thank you, Nancy. Welcome to the students. So welcome to Juneau. I'm so impressed that you all are in this competition. It's an honor for me to greet you here, and I'm amazed how bold you are to stand up and declaim poetry in public. So I'm so happy you're doing this. It takes a lot of courage to sound your barbaric yelp over the rooftops of the world, as Walt Whitman described it. So we're pleased to have you here and glad that you can come to Juneau and add your voices to the poetic chorus. And I'd say that Shelley wrote that poets are the institutors of laws, the founders of civil society, and the inventors of the arts in life. He went on to say that poetry lifts the veil from the hidden beauty of the world. Poetry is the sword of lightning ever unsheathed, which consumes the scabbard that would contain it. And then he famously concluded that poets are the unacknowledged legislators of the world. And you are now in Alaska's capital city, where our acknowledged legislators are up there right now at work instituting the laws of civil society. So thanks to the swords of lightning that you will no doubt unsheath in your competition tonight, perhaps you will illuminate our town and the work being undertaken by our current legislators. One can hope. So good luck, have fun, and let the games begin. And I'll introduce you to Ben Brown, the chairman of the Alaska State Council on the Arts.
Thank you very much, Deputy Mayor Gladaszewski and Nancy from the Juneau Arts Humanities Council. I always appreciate being here at K3 for this iteration of Poetry Out Loud. The Alaska State Council on the Arts is Alaska's state arts agency, and every state in the country and every territory has a state arts agency. There's 56 of us total, and I've had the pleasure of being at the helm of this agency for a dozen years and on it for 15. So it's a wonderful organization. We do a lot of great work. Poetry Out Loud is one of our many programs, and almost all of our programs involve a partner of some sort. We do very little on our own, and I think that's the nature of the world we live in these days. Everything needs to be done collaboratively and with a partner. So our partners include our friends at the National Endowment for the Arts, and I wish we could take credit for Poetry Out Loud, but it was a former NEA chairman, Dana Gioia, who thought this up 14 years ago, and I'm so very glad that he did. In addition to the National Endowment for the Arts, we also partner with our friends in the Alaska State Legislature and the Governor's Office on the Governor's Awards for the Arts and Humanities. Our friends here at K3, 360 North, Public Radio and Television in Alaska's capital city. And we have several foundation partners at the Alaska State Council on the Arts, without whose support we would be unable to do a lot of our fine work. The Rasmussen Foundation, the Siri Foundation, Margaret A. Cargill Philanthropies, among others. So I just wanted to thank those partners and just remind people of the importance of partnership and collaboration in 2019 as we address our state's future. It always makes me happy, or at least for the past few years when I've been able to mention this, to tell the story of when I was in our nation's capital at this national finals several years ago, when Meva Ordaz from West High School won the national competition. And as I told some of you today when we were doing a tour of the governor's house, I kind of freaked out. I jumped up on stage at Lisner Auditorium because I was so proud. I'm equally proud of all of you for coming as far as you've come today, but I'm also excited to see whichever one of you goes and represents Alaska in the national finals. And I know someday soon we will have another national champion. So with that, thank you all for being here. Thanks to everyone who's watching on 360 North. And I'm sure that you will show us just how bright Alaska's future can and will be with your talents tonight. And now I will turn it over to your Master of Ceremonies, Connor Lendrum.
Hello, everybody! This is fantastic. How exciting is it to be here? This is my second time behind this podium for this event, and a few years ago when I did it, it was the highlight of my year, and I have a strong suspicion it'll be the highlight of this one again. Poetry is an incredible part of any society, and I feel that especially for a poetry program that takes so much space in our school, it really takes on the burden of our emotional education. It helps teach us empathy. It helps teach us to recognize the feelings within ourselves by reading other people proclaiming the complexity of those feelings within themselves centuries past or last week. And it's like each poem's a window into a mansion. You look in that window, you learn to recognize the different architectures of different emotions, and it helps you look inside your own internal emotional architecture and recognize those different features and facets and recognize it in each other. And it makes emotions less this scary thing you're constantly trying to control and more a part of the language we use to communicate with each other. So thank you so much, Poetry Out Loud, for existing. Thank you so much, everyone, for coming and competing. And thank you all for coming here to listen tonight. Before I introduce our judges, I did want to also say to those watching on television or those watching later on, we're promoting this with the hashtag AlaskaPOL. And also, regrettably, some of our poems tonight we don't have the rights to broadcast, so you may see some slight gaps, but they'll only be momentary, and I promise that they were incredible. Before I go on to the rules, I would like to introduce our judges. We have Ernestine Hayes from Juneau, Mickey Kinney from Minto, Kathleen Witkowska-Tarr of Anchorage, and Amy O'Neill-Hauk of Cordova, with accuracy judge Bridget Lujan of Juneau, and scorekeepers Nancy DeCherney and Susan Sloss, also from Juneau. Please, a round of applause for all of our judges. Now, an idea of our rules, so we know the basis we're working from, and we also understand a little bit of what all 10 of our competitors had to deal with and work within before they got here. Only currently enrolled high school students in grades 9 through 12 are eligible, with an exception made for 8th grade students participating in a 9th through 12th grade class. I mean, that makes sense. You're there, you're competing, you're reading the work, you're doing things, you're showing up. A student may not advance to the state finals without competing in a lower level competition. Yeah, you can't cut to the end of the line. It works for me. Schools or regions must hold a competition of at least 2 students to select their champion. It's a great word choice. Champion. Very specific. Not a winner, not a victor, champion. If that champion is unable to attend the next level of competition, the runner-up is sent. Students must be judged according to the Poetry Out Loud evaluation criteria from the 2018-2019 Teacher's Guide. To guide the teachers, to guide the students, to guide ourselves. State and national finals consist of 3 rounds of competition. Competitions at lower levels may have fewer rounds, but students must recite only 1 poem in each round. The order in which the poems are recited is up to the student, but poem order may not be switched once given to the competition organizer. Competition organizers, in turn, may not dictate poem order. Rankings are based solely on evaluation sheets submitted by judges. Now, judges, I'm going to be watching you this whole time because this next rule is important. Judges should not convene to discuss performances during the competition. A lot of teachers in the room. I'll see you passing notes. I'm coming over there. Judges may not reconsider their scores after they are submitted. They got to commit, got to dig in. Scoring is cumulative. The scores from all rounds should be added together to determine the winner. Now, who's ready for round 1? Yeah? We all ready to hear some poetry? Fantastic. Too bad, I got one more rule I want to go over. This right here is part of the criteria. At every level, from Gnome to Nationals, part of the criteria the judges are going to use is called physical presence. It's about eye contact. It's about body language and poise. Qualities of strong recitation include ease and comfort with the audience, engagement with the audience through physical presence, including appropriate body language, confidence, and eye contact, which is harder for people who have really long scripts, and the pacing as well, and they have to sound appropriate in tone. Nothing robotic or artificial. And so now, it is my deep pleasure to introduce our first competitor. Morgan Blackgoat is currently a senior at Thunder Mountain High School. Throughout her high school career, she has participated in Poetry Out Loud and community poetry slam events. This will be her second time performing in the state competition. Morgan loves poetry more than she loves coffee and is always grateful to her family for always supporting her. Please, ladies, gentlemen, and everyone in between and beyond, a round of applause for Morgan Blackgoat representing Thunder Mountain High School in Juneau.
I'm Morgan Blackgoat, and this is Diameter by Michelle Y. Burke. You love your friend, so you fly across the country to see her. Your friend is grieving. When you look at her, you see that something's missing. You look again. She seems all there. Reading glasses, sarcasm, leather pumps. What did you expect? Ruins? Demeter without arms in the British Museum? Your friend says she believes there's more pain than beauty in the world. When Persephone was taken, Demeter damned the world for half the year. The other half remained warm and bountiful. The Greeks loved symmetry. On the plane, the man next to you read a geometry book, the lesson on finding the circumference of a circle. On circumference, you can calculate the way around if you know the way across. You try across with your friend. You try around. I don't believe in an afterlife, she says. But after Kay died, I thought I might go after her. In case I'm wrong. In case she's somewhere, waiting.
One more round of applause for Morgan, please, ladies and gentlemen. That was fantastic. Iris Downey is from Homer, Alaska, and is a junior at Homer High School. She loves language, singing, and theater. Iris's affinity for poetry from a very young age is because she was moved by poetry's evocative nature. She also likes the fact that each person's experience of poetry is unique to that person. This is her third year of Poetry Out Loud. That's one more than me. And she appreciates the challenge of recitation, combined with the excitement of competition. She plays the bass for Homer Youth Orchestra. Every summer visit to Sitka Fine Arts Camp for the past 5 years has deepened Iris's interest and capability in the performing arts. She's interested in politics and genetics. Iris is a semi-finalist for NSLIY, an international language scholarship through the U.S. State Department. She will find out soon if she is going to be in India for several months of immersion this summer. So please, before she flies away on her next adventure, welcome Iris Downey.
A Certain Kind of Eden by Kay Ryan. It seems like you could, but you can't go back and pull the roots and runners and replant. It's all too deep for that. You've overprized intention, have mistaken any bent you're given for control. You thought you chose the bean and chose the soil. You even thought you abandoned 1 or 2 gardens. But those things keep growing where we put them, if we put them at all. A certain kind of Eden holds us thrall. Even the one vine that tendrils out alone in time turns on its own impulse, twisting back down its upward course. A strong and then stronger rope. The greenest, saddest, strongest kind of hope.
The second criteria that our judges will be using to evaluate our competitors tonight is voice and articulation. This refers to volume, pace, rhythm, intonation, and proper pronunciation. The qualities of a strong recitation as relates to voice and articulation includes all words are pronounced correctly, the volume, rhythm, and intonation greatly enhance the recitation. Pacing is appropriate to the poem. And I'm sure we will see that in spades with our next competitor, Natalie Fraser. And she is a junior at West High School, a survivor of Romig Middle School, and a Pratt graduate of Aquarian Charter School. This is her second year participating in Poetry Out Loud and her 18th year of being obstinately outspoken. Speaking at 1 year old, that's amazing. When not reciting 19th century verse, she volunteers as a peer sexual health and consent educator with Planned Parenthood, captains the West High Drama, Debate, and Forensics team, well, a third of it, and she plays tennis and sings in choir. This year, Natalie started MHATS, Mental Health Advocacy Through Storytelling, which focuses on ending the stigma around mental health issues through youth-led stories. In her free time, Natalie bakes, homemade bagels are the current obsession, runs with her dog, and attempts to make rollerblading cool again. So please, welcome Natalie to the stage.
Broadcast rights for this poem have not been granted for this event.
Avery Harriman Sakamoto lives in Petersburg, Alaska, and is a senior at Petersburg High School. She has been involved with the music and arts program throughout Petersburg City School District and has participated in Poetry Out Loud since she was a freshman. Avery is very active in her school and can usually be found at any home events, cheering for her fellow classmates. Other than participating in multiple extracurricular activities such as pep band or yearbook club, she spends her time working with children or on Tlingit regalia. Avery has recently earned her Gold Award in Girl Scouts, and as an ambassador, she helps mentor the younger troops back home to work for their ambitions. She absolutely adores children and hopes to work with them later in her life. Avery will be taking a break from school to travel, possibly even backpacking through Central America, and to focus on herself. She also enjoys volunteering throughout her community, hosting weekly radio shows with her friends, and watching Netflix because who doesn't? So please, a warm round of applause for Avery Harriman Sakamoto, representing Petersburg High School.
Under the Lemon Tree by Marcia de la O. Not rain, but fine mist falls from my lemon tree, a balm of droplets in green shadow. 6 years now my mother gone to earth, this dew, light as footsteps of the dead. She often walked out here, craned her neck, and considered the fruit. Hundreds of globes in their leathery hides, figuring on custard and pudding, meringue and hollandaise. But her plans didn't work out. The tree goes on unceasingly, lemons fall and fold into earth and begin again. Me. I come here as a salve against heat, come to languish, to let the soft burst, essence of citrus, summer's distillate, drift into my face and settle. Water and gold brew in the quiet deeps of the far end of the season, and the breath of, no. Leaves swallow the body of light, and the breath of water brims over. My hands cup each other the way hers did.
The third criteria upon which Poetry Out Loud recitations are evaluated is called dramatic appropriateness. Recitation is about conveying a poem's sense with its language. It is closer to the art of oral interpretation than theatrical performance. Think storyteller or narrator over actor. A strong performance will rely on a powerful internalization of the poem rather than distracting gestures. You represent the poem's voice, not a character's. You must subtly enhance the understanding and enjoyment of the poem without overshadowing the language. Our next competitor, Moriah Jacobson, lives in Gakona, Alaska, and is a sophomore at Glen Allen High School. She's had a passion for poetry and music since elementary school, participating in Poetry Out Loud for the past 4 years. Moriah enjoys playing electric guitar and singing, as well as performing with the Glen Allen theater class. To reduce her aggression, she plays basketball and lifts weights. Moriah also cherishes spending time with her pet ferret, Elliot, a great name for a ferret. It's a little editorializing by me. Her career interests include zoology, fitness and nutrition, journalism and communication, photography and music. So please, welcome this ferret owner to the stage, Moriah Jacobson, representing Glen Allen High School.
Love Song by Dorothy Parker. My own dear love, he is strong and bold, and he cares not what comes after. His words ring sweet as a chime of gold, and his eyes are lit with laughter. He is jubilant as a flag unfurled. Oh, a girl, she'd not forget him. My own dear love, he is all my world, and I wish I'd never met him. My love, he's mad, and my love, he's fleet, and a wild young wood thing bore him. The ways are fair to his roaming feet, and the skies are sunlit for him, as sharply sweet to my heart, he seems, as the fragrance of acacia. My own dear love, he is all my dreams, and I wish he were in Asia. My love runs by like a day in June, and he makes no friends of sorrows. He'll tread his galloping rigadoon in the pathway of the morrows. He'll live his days where the sunbeams tart, nor could storm or wind uproot him. My own dear love, he is all my heart, and I wish somebody'd shoot him.
Our next competitor is Talissa McKinley, currently a junior at Ketchikan High School. She lives in Ketchikan, Alaska. However, with her father's position in the military, she has grown up all over the United States. She is passionate about knowledge and spends most of her time gaining it, whether it be through reading, studying, or clubs in which she has participated. Just this last week, Talissa returned from a state competition in Seward, Alaska for the National Ocean Sciences Bowl. To Talissa, poetry is a form of knowledge. Poetry can become anyone's story, even if they themselves are not the author of it. Please welcome to the stage Talissa McKinley, representing Ketchikan High School.
Sweetness by Stephen Dunn. Just when it has seemed I couldn't bear one more friend, waking with a tumor, one more maniac with a perfect reason. Often, a sweetness has come along and changed nothing in the world except the way I stumbled through it. For a while, lost in the ignorance of loving someone or something, the world shrunk to mouth size, hand size, and never seeming small. I acknowledge there is no sweetness that doesn't leave a stain, no sweetness that is ever sufficiently sweet. Tonight, a friend called to say his lover was killed in a car he was driving. His voice was low and guttural. He repeated what he needed to repeat, and I repeated the one or two words we have for such grief, until we were speaking only in tones. Often, a sweetness comes as if on loan, stays just long enough to make sense of what it means to be alive, and then returns to its dark source. As for me, I don't care where it's been or what bitter road it's traveled to come so far, to taste so good.
The fourth criteria that the judges are using tonight to evaluate all of these incredible performances by all our incredible competitors is evidence of understanding. This category is to evaluate the student's comprehension and mastery of the poem. The poet's words should take precedence and should be voiced in a way that helps the audience to understand the poem better. To do this, the student must effectively use intonation, emphasis, tone, and style of delivery. Our next competitor, competitor number 7, is Honor Mealy, and she is a junior at North Pole High School. This is her second year taking part in Poetry Out Loud, and it is one of her favorite programs at school. Since participating last year, she has found that confidence she did not know she had. When not reciting poetry, Honor enjoys playing sports, including flag football, which she had the opportunity to be a team captain for this past fall. Honor would like to thank her family for supporting her in this program for so long, especially her parents for coming with her to all her competitions so far. She would also like to thank her sister, who competed with her at the school level and helped her to pick most of her poems for this performance. So please put your hands together for Honor Mealy, representing North Pole High School.
The Obligation to Be Happy by Linda Pastan. It is more onerous than the rights of beauty or housework. Harder than love, but you expect it of me casually. The way you expect the sun to come up, not in spite of rain or clouds, but because of them. And so I smile, as if my own fidelity to sadness were a hidden vice. That downward tug on my mouth, my old suspicion that health and love are brief irrelevancies, no more than laughter in the warm dark strangled at dawn. Happiness. I try to hoist it on my narrow shoulders again, a knapsack heavy with gold coins. I stumble around the house, bump into things. Only Midas himself would understand.
Judy Sarin is a junior attending Frank A. Degnan High School. At 16 years old, she has taken a college-level writing class, attended the Northwestern Alaska Career and Technical Center, NACTech, a total of 9 times thus far, obtaining certifications in emergency trauma technician, basic life support, cardiopulmonary resuscitation, automated external defibrillator, and food service, both earning college credit and high school credit through these classes and opportunities. In her 3 years of high school, Judy has joined academic decathlon, wrestling, Battle of the Books, Poetry Out Loud. Judy has been in Poetry Out Loud going on 2 years, as she was not offered this program her freshman year. A shame. Nonetheless, she enjoys reading poetry and being a part of such opportunity to recite poetry and learn more. After graduating high school, Judy plans to attend Job Corps to achieve her certified nursing assistant certification or work to become a homicide detective by first becoming a police officer. So please, welcome to the stage, Judy Sarin, representing Frank A. Degnan High School in Unalakleet.
Holding Court by Jacob Sains. Today, I became king of the court without a diamond-encrusted crown thrust upon my sweaty head. Instead, my markings of royalty were the t-shirt draping my body like a robe, soaked in champagne, and the pain in my right knee, a sign of a battle endured. My will, tested and bested by none, as the ball flew off my hands as swift as an arrow toward the heart of a target, my fingers ringless, yet feeling like gold.
Kayana Vessel is currently an 8th grader attending Academy Charter School. In her free time, she enjoys reading, writing, and painting. She also loves hanging out with her relatives, friends, and dogs. Kayana has always had an eye for poems and stories. In particular, she looks for poems that are deep, meaningful, and powerful. In the future, Kayana has a very unique path that she wants to follow. She wishes to travel the world and along the way meet people with whom she can further share her stories, words, and insights about life and the world. She also dreams of becoming a writer. However, she does not have an exact idea of what she wants to do with her life, and will decide her exact path in the future. Kayana is thrilled to have been given the opportunity to present these poems that she cherishes, and wishes to share them with others so that they can listen to them, become moved by their words, and interpret their own unique meanings and morals from the poems. Please join me in welcoming to the stage our 9th contestant, Kayana Vessel, representing Academy Charter School in Palmer.
Beautiful Wreckage by W.D. Earhart.
What if I
didn't shoot the old lady running away from our patrol, or the old man in the back of the head, or the boy in the marketplace. Or what if the boy, but he didn't have a grenade, and the woman in Hue didn't lie in the rain in a Mordor pit with 7 Marines, just for food. Gaffney didn't get hit in the knee, Ames didn't die in the river, Ski didn't die in a medevac chopper between Contien and Da Nang. In Vietnamese, Contien means place of angels. What if it really was, instead of the place of rotting sandbags, incoming heavy artillery, rats, and mud? What if the angels were Ames and Ski, or the lady, the man, and the boy, and they lifted Gaffney out of the mud and healed his shattered knee? What if none of it was the way that I said? Would it all be a lie? Would the wreckage be suddenly beautiful? Would the dead rise up and walk? Thank you.
Our 10th contestant this evening is Eliana Zimmerman. She's 17 years old and lives in Port Allsworth, Alaska. Before moving to Port Allsworth, she lived in Antioch for 12 years. She lives with both her parents, Brett and Christy, and has 2 older siblings named Daniel and Aaron, who have both graduated high school. Your turn is coming up, don't worry. In her spare time, she likes to play the ukulele and spend time with her friends. She also enjoys songwriting and learning the piano. After high school, Eliana has plans to move to the lower 48 to start her own business in the coffee industry. Eliana is inspired by many people. The person she most aspires to be like is Elizabeth Wilson, who is a nurse practitioner and a close family friend. She has been a consistent role model for Eliana, although through her entire life. It was Elizabeth who first inspired Eliana to open her own coffee shop. She looks forward to her future and learning what life has in store for her. Please welcome her to stage, representing Tenalian School in Port Allsworth.
Midnight Office by Cynthia Cruz. The child is not dead. She is sleeping, gone from this world which is broken. The angel of Michael outside the garden, his circle of fire maddening around the tree. He put the word back into her, a heavy kind of music. Then she was free as we all are. All night I stood in the icy wind praying for the storm to destroy me, but the wind blew through me like I was a hologram. If you say I'm a mystic, then fine. I'm a mystic. The trees are not trees anyway.
And that concludes our first round of competition. Well done, everyone. A round of applause for all 10 of our competitors. Round 2 is going to be so much easier. I promise. It'll be great. But you know what? I think that there's another group of people who need a little more attention as well. I think we need to talk a little bit about our judges. Before we go into our second round, I would first like to talk about Ernestine Hayes. She belongs to the Wolf House of the Kagwantong clan of the Tlingit Nation. Her essays, articles, short stories, and poetry have been published in Studies in American Indian Literature, Huffington Post, Alaska Quarterly Review, Tipton Review, A History of Western American Literature, and other venues, including selections of her poem, The Spoken Forest, for permanent installation at Totem Bight State Park. Alaska Writer Laureate through 2016 to 2018, she is the author of Blonde Indian, an Alaskan Native memoir, which received an American Book Award and an Honoring Alaska Indigenous Literature Award, and was finalist for the Kiriyama Prize and Penn Nonfiction Award. Her latest book, The Tao of Raven, places fiction and nonfiction narratives in the context of Raven and the Box of Daylight and Sun Tzu's Art of War. Grandmother of 4 and great-grandmother of 3, Hayes is a professor at the University of Alaska Southeast and makes her home here in Juneau, not far from the Juneau Indian Village where she was born and raised. And I, personally, had the great and profound pleasure and honor to take a class from her at University of Alaska Southeast. And I would like a round of applause for that judge right now. And now on to our now familiar contestant. Please another round of applause for Morgan Blackgoat, representing Thunder Mountain High School in Juneau.
After the Disaster by Abigail Deutsch. New York City, 2001. One night, not long after the disaster, as our train was passing Astor, the car door opened with a shudder, and a girl came flying down the aisle. Hair that looked to be all feathers and a half-moon smile, making open air of our small car. The crowd ignored her, or they muttered, "Hey, excuse me," as they passed her. When the train had paused at Rector, the specter crowed, "Excuse me," swiftly turned and ran back up the corridor, then stopped for me. We dove under the river. She took my head between her fingers, squeezing till the birds began to stir. And then, from out my eyes and ears, a flock came forth. I couldn't think, or hear, or breathe or see within that feather world. So silently, I thanked her. Such things were common after the disaster.
We have our 10 wonderful reciters here tonight, our performers, competing. And we know they're competing to become our representative for our state, but what else are they competing for? Each winner at the state level receives $200 and an all-expenses-paid trip with an adult chaperone to Washington to compete for the national championship. The state winner's school also will receive $500 stipend for the purchase solely of poetry books, which is incredible. The first runner-up in each state will also receive $100 with $200 for his or her library. A total of $50,000 in awards and school stipends is awarded annually at the national finals. And now I'd like to introduce our second judge. Amy O'Neill Hauk is a writer, cook, teacher, and fiber artist. She's published 3 books of knitting and crochet designs, writes regularly on foraging and food, and is the co-publisher of Edible Alaska magazine. Amy has an MFA in creative nonfiction from UAA and is a teaching artist with the Alaska State Council on the Arts and the Juneau Arts and Humanities Council. Please a round of applause for our second judge. And now please welcome back to the stage, representing Homer High School, Iris Downey.
Monet Refuses the Operation by Liesl Mueller. Doctor, you say there are no halos around the street lights in Paris, and what I see is an aberration caused by old age, an affliction. I tell you, it has taken me all my life to arrive at the vision of gas lamps as angels, to soften and blur and finally banish the edges you regret I don't see, to learn that the line I called the horizon does not exist, and sky and water, so long apart, are the same state of being. 54 years before I could see Rouen Cathedral is built of parallel shafts of sun. And now you want to restore my youthful errors? Fixed notions of top and bottom, the illusion of three-dimensional space. Wisteria, separate from the bridge it covers. What can I say to convince you? The Houses of Parliament dissolve night after night to become the fluid dream of the Thames. I will not return to a universe of objects that don't know each other. As if islands were not the lost children of one great continent. The world is flux, and light becomes what it touches, becomes water, lilies on water, above and below water, becomes lilac and mauve and yellow and white and cerulean lamps, small fists passing sunlight so quickly to one another that it would take long, streaming hair inside my brush to catch it, to paint the speed of light. Our weighted shapes, these verticals, burn to mix with air and change our bones, skin, clothes to gases. Doctor, if only you could see how heaven pulls earth into its arms, and how infinitely the heart expands to claim this world. Blue vapor without end.
Since 2005, Poetry Out Loud has grown to reach more than 3.6 million students and 55,000 teachers from 14,000 schools in every state: Washington, D.C., the U.S. Virgin Islands, and Puerto Rico. In Alaska, in 2017-2018, just under 3,500 students from across Alaska participated in Poetry Out Loud, supported by 52 teachers. And one of those teachers is our third judge, Mickey Kinney. He's currently a teacher out in Minto, Alaska. Before moving out to rural Alaska, he completed his MFA in poetry in Colorado State University. His background is in slam poetry and music. His band, Wasteland Hop, has toured Alaska for the past 7 years and currently performs around the state during the summertime. His current hobby is becoming a better musher with the help and guidance of his middle school and high school students. Please, a warm round of applause for our third judge, Mickey Kinney. And now, yet another round of applause. You're all getting really good at applause. All this a practice, it's really good for you. Put it in your resume. Our third competitor again, Natalie Fraser, representing West Anchorage High School.
When I Have Fears That I May Cease to Be by John Keats. When I have fears that I may cease to be, before my pen has gleaned my teeming brain, before high-piled books in charactery hold like rich garners the full ripened grain, when I behold upon the night's starred face huge cloudy symbols of a high romance, and think that I may never live to trace their shadows with the magic hand of chance. And when I feel, fair creature of an hour, that I shall never look upon thee more, never have a relish in the fairy power of unreflecting love, then, on the shore of the wide world I stand alone, and think, till love and fame to nothingness do sink. Thank you.
Our next judge that I'll be talking about tonight is Kathleen Tarr. She's a longtime Alaskan and the author of We Are All Poets Here, which is an incredible title. Published in 2018, We Are All Poets Here is a memoir about her spiritual journey involving Alaska, including Yakutat, Russia, and Thomas Merton. Kathleen is a Merton scholar and the founder of the Alaska chapter of the International Thomas Merton Society. Her essays have appeared in a wide range of literary journals, magazines, newspapers, blogs, and anthologies, including the Suwannee Review, Creative Nonfiction, Cirque, Tri-Quarterly, and the Anchorage Daily News. For 5 years, she served as the program coordinator of UAA's low residency MFA program in creative writing. She is a fellow at the Virginia Center for the Creative Arts. Most recently, she has taught creative writing classes for 49 writers on spiritual writing and a workshop on the Russian poet Anna Akhmatova. Kathleen earned her MFA in creative nonfiction from the University of Pittsburgh. I recently lived in Pennsylvania. That's awesome. Kathleen served on the board of Alaska Humanities Forum. She lives in Anchorage and is excited to be serving as a judge for Poetry Out Loud, and we're all excited too, Kathleen. Please, a round of applause for Kathleen Tarr. And now, welcome back to the stage, our fourth competitor, Avery Harriman Sakamoto, representing Petersburg High School.
What Women Are Made Of by Bianca Lynn Spriggs. There are many kinds of open, Audre Lorde. We are all ventricle, spine, lung, larynx, and gut, clavicle and nape, what lies forked in an open palm. We are follicle and temple. We are ankle, arch, sole, pore and rib, pelvis and root and tongue. We are wishbone and gland and molar and lobe. We are hippocampus, an exposed nerve and cornea. Areola, pigment, melanin and nails. Varicose, cellulite, divining rod, sinew and tissue, saliva and silt. We are blood and salt, clay and aquifer. We are breath and flame and stratosphere, palimpsest and bibelot and cloisonne fine lines. Marigold, hydrangea, and dimple. Nightlight, satellite, and stubble. We are pinnacle, plummet, dark circles and dark matter, a constellation of freckles and specters and miracles and lashes, both bent and erect. We are all give and give back. We are Volta and Girder. Make an incision in our nectary, and painted ladies sail forth, riding the back of a warm wind, plumed with love and things like love. Crack us down to the marrow, and you may find us full of cicada husks and sand dollars and salted maple taffy, weary of welding together our daydreams. All sweet tea, razor blades, carbon, and patchwork quilts, good God and Lord have mercy. Our hands remember how to turn the earth before we do. Our intestinal fortitude, cumulonimbus, streaked with saffron light. Our foundation, not in our limbs or hips. This comes first as an amen, a hallelujah, a suckling, swaddled psalm sung at the cosmos's breast. You want to know what women are made of? Open wide and find out.
Our fifth category that our contestants are judged on seems implicit in the concept of a recitation competition, but is worth discussing nonetheless. Accuracy is the first element. The most basic task for the student is to keep the poet's language intact for the audience. Given that accuracy is the foundation of a good recitation, serving as an accuracy judge is a critical component of the evaluation process. It is the job of the accuracy judge to mark missed or incorrect words during the recitation. Our accuracy judge is returning this year in her position, and her name is Bridget Lujan. Bridget takes accuracy very seriously, and in fact has made a career of striving for it, an admirable feat. She is a CPA in Alaska and owns her own local firm, specializing in tax and consulting work for businesses and individuals. She is also the current executive director for Juneau Dance Theater. Bridget has a BFA in theater from Niagara University, New York. She is a former trustee and treasurer of the Juneau Arts and Humanities Council and a past president of the Rotary Club of Juneau. Bridget has lived in Juneau since 1995. She and her husband Jess have 2 children, Christopher, a freshman at UAF, and Megan, a sophomore at Thunder Mountain High School. She commends and congratulates all POL finalists and wishes them luck. And for our next finalist, please welcome to the stage Mariah Jacobson, representing Glen Allen High School.
The Charge of the Light Brigade by Alfred Lord Tennyson. Half a league, half a league, half a league onward, all in the valley of death, rode the 600. Forward, the Light Brigade! Charge for the guns! He said. Into the valley of death rode the 600. Forward, the Light Brigade! Was there a man dismayed? Not though the soldier knew someone had blundered. Theirs not to make reply, theirs not to reason why, theirs but to do and die. Into the valley of death rode the 600. Cannon to right of them, cannon to left of them, cannon in front of them volleyed and thundered, stormed at with shot and shell. Boldly they rode and well into the jaws of death, into the mouth of hell rode the 600. Flashed all their sabers bare, flashed as they turned in air, sabering the gunners there, while all the world wondered. Plunged in the battery smoke, right through the line they broke. Cossack and Russian reeled from the saber stroke, shattered and sundered. Then they rode back, but not the 600. Cannon to right of them, cannon to left of them, cannon behind them, volleyed and thundered, stormed at with shot and shell. Well, horse and hero fell. They that had fought so well came through the jaws of death, back from the mouth of hell. All that was left of them, left of 600. When can their glory fade? Oh, the wild charge they made. All the world wondered. Honor the charge they made. Honor the Light Brigade. Noble 600.
Poetry Out Loud is a partnership between the National Endowments of the Arts, the Poetry Foundation, and the state arts agencies. In Alaska, the state art agency is the Alaska State Council on the Arts, ASCA, which partners with schools, school districts, public libraries, and local arts councils. The Juneau Arts and Humanities Council is a major partner in making it possible for us to hold the Alaska State competition in our capital city of Juneau. The Alaska Poetry Out Loud program also partners with 49 Writers, 360 North, the Alaska State Libraries, Archives and Museum, and Capital Businesses and Artists. So please, a collective round of applause just for all the many unnamed people that work without recognition, that work on their own time, unpaid, volunteer parents, librarians who help kids, people who help keep all these different organizations running. Just a round of applause for all of them. And now, do that thing you just did for Talissa McKinley, representing Ketchikan High School.
The Wish by a Young Lady by Letitia Pilkington. I ask not wit, nor beauty do I crave, nor wealth, nor pompous titles wish to have, but since 'tis doomed through all degrees of life, whether a daughter, a sister, or wife, that females should the stronger males obey and yield implicit to their lordly sway, since this, I say, is every woman's fate, give me a mind to suit my slavish state.
Our national partners in Poetry Out Loud are the National Endowment for the Arts and the Poetry Foundation. The National Endowment for the Arts was established by Congress in 1965 as an independent agency of the federal government. To date, the NEA has awarded more than $5 billion to support artistic excellence, creativity, and innovation for the benefit of individuals and communities. The NEA extends its work through partnerships with state art agencies, local leaders, other federal agencies, and the philanthropic sector. But there are other contributions too, which I think that you are all showing by showing up. So I want you all to give yourselves a round of applause for coming out to this awesome event. I'm proud of you guys. I'm glad you're here. And I think it's time for our next competitor. Honor Mealy, representing North Pole High School. Please, a round of applause.
Dover Beach by Matthew Arnold. The sea is calm tonight. The tide is full, the moon lies fair upon the straits. On the French coast, the light gleams and is gone. The cliffs of England stand glimmering and vast out in the tranquil bay. Come to the window. Sweet is the night air. Only from the long line of spray where the sea meets the moon-blanched land, listen. You hear the grating roar of pebbles which the waves draw back and fling at their return up the high strand, begin and cease, and then again begin with tremulous cadence slow, and bring the eternal note of sadness in. Sophocles heard it long ago on the Aegean, and it brought into his mind the turbid ebb and flow of human misery. We find also in the sound a thought, hearing it by this distant northern sea. The sea of faith was once too at the full and round earth's shore, lay like the folds of a bright girdle furled, but now I only hear its melancholy, long, withdrawing roar, retreating to the breath of the night wind, down the vast edges, drear and naked shingles of the world. Ah, love, let us be true to one another. For the world which seems to lie before us like a land of dreams, so various, so beautiful, so new, hath really neither joy, nor love, nor light, nor certitude, nor peace, nor help for pain, and we are here, as on a darkling plain, swept with confused alarms of struggle and flight, where ignorant armies clash by night. Thank you.
The ASCA is a public corporation administratively housed within the state of Alaska Department of Education and Early Development. The mission of the Alaska State Council of the Arts is to represent, support, and advance the creative endeavors of individuals, organizations, and agencies throughout Alaska. ASCA fulfills that mission through grants, services, and partnerships. The local arts agency for the city and borough of Juneau is the Juneau Arts and Humanities Council. It is the formal arts agency for the capital city of Juneau, Alaska, and operates the Juneau Arts and Culture Center, a vibrant community center providing a location for concerts and events, a rotating gallery, and a lobby gift shop. The council offers programming in performance, visual, literary, and arts education, as well as grants, scholarships, and helpful resources for local artists. The Juneau Arts and Humanities Council cultivates vibrant arts and cultural opportunities and is a leader in building a strong, prosperous community where creativity and innovation thrive. And now, for more innovation and more creativity and more expression, please welcome to the stage again, Judy Sarin, representing Frank A. Degnan High School in Unalakleet.
Broadcast rights for this poem have not been granted for this event.
while Poetry Out Loud is a competition, and I've mostly talked about all of its rules and regulations and how it makes sure to codify its process, it's ultimately an organization that wants to help foster artistry and creativity and an appreciation of poetry in the students of the schools of America. The Poetry Out Loud curriculum materials include the online poetry anthology, a comprehensive teacher's guide, videos of student performances, lesson plans, and promotional and media guides. Hard copies of materials are free for teachers participating in the official program. Materials are sent to high schools beginning in August, and the program is run through early winter. Poetry Out Loud does not require full class periods and can be completed in 2 to 3 weeks. States hold their competitions by mid-March. Following the state finals, the national finals will be held in Washington, D.C. from April 30th to May 1st. While teachers, students, and poetry lovers everywhere can use the poetryoutloud.org website and its free materials to organize their own contests. So, if you want to have like a homegrown poetry contest, all that stuff's available. The official contest is limited to the programs run by each state's art agency. And to help welcome our next contestant number 9, back to the stage, please, a warm, rousing round of applause for Kayana Vessel, representing Academy Charter School in Palmer.
I Remember, by Thomas Hood. I remember the house where I was born, the little window where the sun came peeping in at morn. He never came a wink too soon, nor brought too long a day. But now I often wish the night had borne my breath away. I remember the roses, red and white, the violets and the lily cups, those flowers made of light, the lilacs where the robin built and where my brother sat, the laburnum on his birthday. The tree is living yet. I remember where I was used to swing and thought the air must rush as fresh to swallows on the wing. My spirit flew in feathers then, that is so heavy now. And summer pools could hardly cool the fever on my brow. I remember the fir trees, dark and high. I used to think their slender tops were close against the sky. It was a childish ignorance, but now 'tis little joy to know I'm farther from heaven than when I was a boy.
This is the 14th year for Poetry Out Loud around the country. Over the past 13 years, Poetry Out Loud has reached nearly 3 million students, more than 9,500 schools, and thousands of teachers across the country. Alaska has participated in Poetry Out Loud for all 14 years. Since 2014, the Alaska State Poetry Out Loud competition has been live webcast by 360 North. Thank you, 360 North. Because of this live web stream, people across the state can cheer on their regional champions. We use the hashtag AlaskaPOL so people across the state, friends and family, can connect. The National Endowments of the Arts and the Poetry Foundation will live stream the National Poetry Out Loud competition in May. We encourage Alaskans to check out the live webcast of the national competition and to cheer on the Alaska State champion. For all we know, maybe this very next last of our 10 competitors for the second round, Eliana Zimmerman, representing Tenalian School in Port Ellsworth.
Constantly Risking Absurdity by Lawrence Ferlinghetti. Constantly risking absurdity and death. Whenever he performs, the poet, like an acrobat, climbs on rhyme to a high wire of his own making, and balancing on I-beams above sea of faces, paces his way to the other side of day, performing entree shots and sleight-of-foot tricks and other high theatrics, and all without mistaking anything for what it may not be. For he is the super realist, who must perforce perceive taught truth before the taking of each stancer's step in his supposed advance towards that still higher perch, where beauty stands and waits with gravity to start her death-defying leap. And he, a little Charlie Chaplin man, who may or may not catch her fair eternal form spread-eagled in the empty air of existence.
That marks the end of our second round. We'll be taking a short break so the judges can convene and decide on their finalists, and so that our competitors can take a breath. We'll see you back here shortly. Hello and welcome back from that very short break. I know you're all tingling with anticipation, and so am I, and I'm sure that all of the excitement that we're all feeling is absolutely nothing compared to our finalists. And I would like to announce all 4 of our finalists this evening, in order of recitation, will be Morgan Blackgoat, Iris Downey, Natalie Fraser, and Honor Mealy. So please, a round of applause right at the top. 4 finalists. You've all done incredibly, and I'm really excited to see what is still in store for tonight. But please, for our first finalist, put your hands together for Morgan Blackgoat, representing Thunder Mountain High School in Juneau.
Envy by Mary Lamb. This rose tree was not made to bear the violet blue nor lily fair, nor the sweet mignonette. And if this tree were discontent, or wished to change its natural bent, it all in vain would fret. And should it fret, you would suppose, it ne'er did see its own red rose, nor after gentle shower had ever smelled the rose's sweet scent, or it could ne'er be discontent with its own pretty flower. Like such a blind and senseless tree as I've imagined this to be, all envious persons are. With care and culture, all may find some pretty flower in their own mind, some talent that is rare.
So Poetry Out Loud, I think we can all agree, just because we're all here, is a pretty incredible organization just for existing and things that it does and this avenue it gives us. But all great organization starts as someone's idea. And one of the people who helped make sure that this is what it is and we're all here today is Dana Gioia, was the chairman of the National Endowment of the Arts when Poetry Out Loud was born. He is a poet himself and has 4 poems included in the Poetry Out Loud anthology. In his Poetry Out Loud bio, it says, a graduate of Stanford Business School, Gioia claims to be the only person in history who went to business school to be a poet. He later rose to become a vice president at General Foods. Poetry Out Loud is considered to be one of the greatest legacies of Gioia's chairmanship of the NEA. He currently serves as the California State Poet Laureate. And even though he was the vice president of General Foods, I would also say that Poetry Out Loud is his tastiest contribution to society. Our next finalist, please welcome to the stage, representing Homer High School, Iris Downey.
I Wandered Lonely as a Cloud by William Wordsworth. I wandered lonely as a cloud that floats on high o'er vales and hills, when all at once I saw a crowd, a host of golden daffodils. Beside the lake, beneath the trees, fluttering and dancing in the breeze. Continuous as the stars that shine and twinkle on the Milky Way. They stretched in never-ending line along the margin of a bay. 10,000 sigh at a glance, tossing their heads in sprightly dance. The waves beside them danced, but they outdid the sparkling waves in glee. A poet could not but be gay in such a jocund company. I gazed and gazed, but little thought what wealth the show to me had brought. For oft when on my couch I lie, in vacant or in pensive mood, they flash upon that inward eye, which is the bliss of solitude. And then my heart with pleasure fills and dances with the daffodils.
The state and national Poetry Out Loud competitions require that students select 3 poems from the Poetry Out Loud anthology and commit these poems to memory. While poems must be committed to memory during Poetry Out Loud, students are permitted to utilize a prompter during recitation. Thank you so much, prompter. A round of applause for our prompter this evening. And we are really lucky tonight because after our competitors who have made it to the final round of competition, everyone else who's worked so hard to come here is still excited to come up and recite their 3rd poems. So we get a total of 30 poems tonight, and I am very excited for all of it, as I'm sure you all are as well. Our 3rd finalist tonight, representing West Anchorage High School, is Natalie Fraser. Please, everyone, a round of applause.
Backdrop Addresses Cowboy by Margaret Atwood. Star-spangled cowboy sauntering out of the almost silly West. On your face a porcelain grin, tugging a papier-mâché cactus on wheels behind you with a string. You are as innocent as a bathtub full of bullets. Your righteous eyes, your laconic trigger fingers people the streets with villains. As you move, the air in front of you blossoms with targets. And you leave behind you a heroic trail of desolation. Beer bottles slaughtered by the side of the road, bird skulls bleaching in the sunset. I ought to be watching from behind a cliff or a cardboard storefront when the shooting starts, hands clasped in admiration. But I am elsewhere. Then, what about me? What about the I confronting you on that border you are always trying to cross? I am the horizon you ride towards, the thing you can never lasso. I am also what surrounds you. My brain scattered with your tin cans, bones, empty shells, the litter of your invasions. I am the space you desecrate as you pass through. Thank you.
Growing up in Juneau, in Alaska, and I was born here, I always felt like poetry was a very communal, common thing. Not made any less special by that, but it was not unusual to hear someone reading a poem to another person or say, I'm going to go write some poetry today. And there's part of the background information they gave me here about Poetry Out Loud in Alaska specifically that I think is incredible and actually brings to mind the title of Kathleen Tarr's book, We Are All Poets Here, because that, though I admit I've never read that book, it definitely resonated with me as a title. The Poetry Out Loud competition has a pyramid order. And so it has a structure that starts at the classroom level. Winners advance to a school-wide competition, then to a regional and/or state competition, and ultimately to the national finals. In Alaska, there have been 4 regions with enough population and registration to hold in-person regional competitions. Anchorage School District, Fairbanks North Star Borough School District, Mat-Su Borough District, the Juneau School District, and during this year's Poetry Out Loud season, Bering Strait School District competed as its own region, bringing together students from multiple schools for an in-person regional competition. And for communities across the state that do not have more than one high school within a distance to come together in person, there is a video adjudication process. Schools from each region send videos of their school representatives to a panel of judges in Juneau. And this is unique to the state of Alaska at the regional level. And I just think it's incredible that as a state we hold poetry as a value, that we don't let the great distances as part of our home stop that from enjoying that aspect of our communities and that artistic element of who we are. Our next competitor, our 4th finalist this evening, is Honor Mealy, representing North Pole High School. Please give a warm round of applause. Welcome here to the stage.
Broadcast rights for this poem have not been granted for this event.
And now I'm very excited that we get to continue listening to delicious, delicious poetry while our judges tabulate, while they lift their heavy pens and go about their dour tasks of assigning points to such incredible beauty that everyone's brought to the table tonight. But I believe in the new judges. But while we wait, please welcome to the stage Avery Harriman Sakamoto from Petersburg High School.
Invitation to Love by Paul Laurence Dunbar. Come when the nights are bright with stars, or come when the moon is mellow. Come when the sun, his golden bars, drops on the hayfield yellow. Come in the twilight, soft and gray. Come in the night or come in the day. Come, O love, whene'er you may. and you are welcome. Welcome. You are sweet, O love, dear love, you are soft as the nesting dove. Come to my heart and bring it to rest as the bird flies home to its welcome nest. Come when my heart is full of grief, or when my heart is merry. Come with the falling of the leaf, or with the reddening cherry. Come when the year's first blossom blows. Come when summer gleams and glows. Come with the winter's drifting snows. And you are welcome. Welcome.
Next up, we've got Moriah Jacobson representing Glen Allen High School.
Sacuan Papalotos by Brenda Cardenas, in memory of Jose Antonio Burciaga, 1947 through 1996. We are chameleons. We become chameleon. Jose Antonio Burciaga. We are space between the black-orange blur of a million monarchs on their 2-generation migration south to fur-crowned Michoacan, where the tree trunks will sprout feathers. A forest of paper-thin wings. Our Mexica, cocooned in the membranes de la Madre Tierra, say we are reborn Sacuan Papalotos. Mariposas negras y enranjadas, in whose sweep the dead whisper. We are between the flicker of a chameleon's tail as it turns his desert blue backbone to jade or pink sand. The snake-skinned fraternal twins of solstice and equinox. The ashen dawn, silvering dusk, la oración as it leaves the lips, the tug into sleep. The glide from dreams that husks out mestizo memory. We are one life passing through the prism of all others, gathering color and song, cempasúchil and drum, to leave a rhythm scattered on the wind, dust tinting the tips of fingers as we slip into our new light.
High School. Come on up, Talissa. Keep it going, everybody.
What the Oracle Said by Shara McCollum. You will leave your home. Nothing will hold you. You will wear dresses of gold, skins of silver, copper, and bronze. The skies above you will shift in meaning each time you think you understand. You will spend a lifetime chipping away layers of flesh. The shadow of your scales will always remain. You will be marked by sulfur and salt. You will bathe endlessly in clear streams and fail to rid yourself of that scent. Your feet will never be your own. Stone will be your path. Storms will follow in your wake, destroying all those who take you in. You will desert your children, kill your lovers, and devour their flesh. You will love no one but the wind and ache of your bones. Neither will love you in return. With age, your hair will grow matted and dull. Your skin will gape and hang in long folds. Your eyes will cease to shine, but nothing will be enough. The sea will never take you back.
Moving on into our next competitor, please welcome back Judy Sarin, representing Frank A. Degnan High School in Unalakleet.
I Remember by Thomas Hood. I remember the house where I was born, the little window where the sun came peeping in at morn. He never came a wink too soon, nor brought too long a day, but now I often wish the night had borne my breath away. I remember the roses red and white, the violets and the lily cups, those flowers made of light. The lilacs where the robin built, and where my brother set the laburnum on his birthday. The tree is living yet. I remember where I was used to swing, and used to think the air must rush as fresh to swallows on the wing. My spirit flew in feathers then, but it's so heavy now, and summer pools could hardly cool the fever on my brow. I remember the fir trees dark and high. I used to think their slender tops were close against the sky. It was a childish ignorance, but now 'tis little joy to know I'm farther off from heaven than when I was a boy.
Keep it going to our ninth reciter this evening, Kiana Vessel, representing Academy Charter School in Palmer.
Crossing the Bar by Alfred Lord Tennyson. Sunset and evening star, and one clear call for me. And may there be no moaning of the bar when I put out to sea. But such a tide as moving seems asleep, too full for sound and foam, when that which drew from out the boundless deep turns again home. Twilight and evening bell, and after that the dark. And may there be no sadness of farewell when I embark. For though from out our bourne of time and place the flood may bear me far, I hope to see my pilot face to face when I have crossed the bar.
Bookending the entire event, please put your hands back together for Eliana Zimmerman, representing Tenalian School in Port Ellsworth.
In the Desert by Stephen Crane. In the desert, I saw a creature, naked, bestial, who, squatting upon the ground, held his heart in his hands and ate of it. I said, "Is it good, friend?" "It is bitter." "Bitter," he answered. "But I like it because it is bitter and because it is my heart."
When I was on the board of directors for Wushkanadeyi, a local spoken word society here, we had a tradition at a lot of our events that was maybe my favorite part. We like to call it biggest fan. And so for this next part, I'm going to ask all the contestants to come up on stage, and I want each of you to imagine that all of them are somehow simultaneously your favorite person, your most, like Lady Gaga, we're talking about Margaret Atwood, like everybody. So everyone, please lose your minds and welcome onto the stage our 10 contestants. They know how it works. And every single one of you have, oh, we're gonna take a break. Every one of you have shown incredible fortitude and skill and passion and courage being here, and we're gonna take a quick break. One of our eminent judges, Ernestine Hayes. Thank you.
Goodness cheese. I direct my words to all the participants at every level here and throughout the state and to all their classmates and friends. I'm here to applaud the vigor and drama with which you give life to those immortal words. Well done, Goodness cheese. Your performances join all of us in a timeless literary dialogue that is enriched, enhanced, and deepened by these poems and by your recital. We find ourselves in challenging times that will demand dedicated and certain genius to face and to overcome. We are only too aware of the challenges that confront your generation. When Dorothy Parker, one of the poets recognized tonight, was of high school age, the NAACP was formed with the mission of ensuring a society in which all individuals had equal rights without discrimination based on race. During those years, the first plastic made from synthetic components was patented, paving the way to a treacherous dependence on single-use plastics that pollute our rivers and choke our oceans. The challenges Parker faced when she was of high school age were global, and they threatened all the world's citizens. Liesl Müller, born in Germany, was 15 years old, high school age, in 1939 when her family moved to the United States. World War II is generally said to have begun in September of that year. By that time, the Nazi Party was growing in power throughout Europe, and that was not the only threat. Just 5 years before, the United States Congress passed its first federal gun control bill to regulate the use of machine guns by private citizens. The challenges Müller faced when she was of high school age were global, and they threatened the world's citizens. By the 1960s, when W.D. Earhart was of high school age, the number of American troops in Vietnam had risen to more than 15,000. By then, the dominance of coal as a major source of fuel in the United States had diminished in favor of petroleum production, signaling uncontrolled oil consumption in the United States and worldwide. During those years, political scandals related to illegal gratuities, tax evasion, false campaign reports, and fraud were rampant in the United States and elsewhere. And those were not the only threats that were seen in those years. In the same year that Earhart graduated high school, the University of Texas experienced a tragedy that was to be repeated many times in coming years. The challenges Earhart faced when he was of high school age were global, and they threatened the world's citizens. Equal rights, wars, scandals, pollution, climate change. The challenges you face now at high school age are global, and they threaten the world's citizens. But just as those whose words you honor today went on to become artists, writers, teachers, leaders, community organizers, painters, medical professionals, journalists, performers, poets, you will do the same. You will meet all challenges. You will overcome all threats. You will persevere with the same determination, dedication, and genius that you have brought with you to this room, you will not only go forward to realize your own calling, but you will take the world with you to a new tomorrow, to a healed earth, to a brilliant future. And those of us fortunate enough to witness your dedication, your discipline, and your talent will look back and say, yes, we knew it, we saw it, we believed it, and we will thank you then just as we are thanking you now. Gunas Chish.
Ernestine Hayes, ladies and gentlemen. It's always an honor and a pleasure to hear you speak. Thank you. I would like now to revisit our greatest fan moment, to invite all of our brave and courageous contestants back up onto the stage. You know what to do. Make some noise! Invite Ben Brown up to the stage, who will be distributing our certificates of participation. We're really lucky to have him here with us tonight. And I will be reading out all of your names in alphabetical order, which is the same as the competition order. So get ready to hear some familiar stuff. Morgan Blackgoat, representing Thunder Mountain High School in Juneau. Iris Downey, representing Homer High School. Natalie Fraser, representing West Anchorage High School. Avery Harriman Sakamoto, representing Petersburg High School. Moriah Jacobson, representing Glen Allen High School. Talissa McKinley, representing Ketchikan High School. Honor Mealy, representing North Pole High School. Judy Sarin, representing Frank A. Degnan High School in Unalakleet. That's Unalakleet. For those who mess up sometimes. Number 9 is Kayana Vessel, representing Academy Charter School in Palmer. And our 10th competitor, Eliana Zimmerman, representing Tanalian School in Port Allsworth. And now, our runner-up and recipient of $200 for their school library to buy delicious poetry books, please put together a powerful and potent round of applause for Natalie Fraser from West Anchorage High School. And finally, your state champion and representative going to nationals in Washington, D.C. and delivering to their high school $500 for wonderful, wonderful poetry books. Please keep those hands hot for Honor Mealy, North Pole High School. incredible people. That's all the competition we have for all of you this evening. Thank you so much for coming out and supporting Poetry Out Loud. I have some special thanks to all the parents and families of our state Poetry Out Loud finalists and all Alaska Poetry Out Loud coordinators for 2019, with recognition of the coordinators at the schools represented in the Alaska State Finals. Julie Real in Palmer, Stephanie Whitman in Unalakleet, did it right that time. Elizabeth Alexander in the North Pole, Rachel Kitto and Adam Mackey in Anchorage, Corrine Marks, Chris Knight, Jeannie Rader, Naomi Love in Juneau, Rebecca Bolin in Ketchikan, Alex Andrews in Glen Allen, Carissa Cotta in Petersburg, Nicole Metzger in Port Allsworth. And special thanks to all of our judging staff, our Alaska Poetry Out Loud state coach, Denise Gott, the Alaska State Libraries, museums, and archives, and the staff of the Juneau Arts and Humanities Council. Thank you to our State Poetry Out Loud coordinator, Amanda Filori, and Juneau Arts and Humanities Council Education Director, Jennifer LaRoe. Please, one last round of applause, and thank you all so much for coming out.
The Alaska State Poetry Out Loud competition is made possible by Alaska State Council on the Arts, in partnership with the Juneau Arts and Humanities Council, the National Endowment for the Arts, the Poetry Foundation, 49 Writers, and Any Given Child.